Good morning, Thailand. My name is Alex, and I have some updates from around the land of smiles for you from the Thaiger today, this wonderful Thursday, February 22nd. And we're going to start with our first story today, and that's that the minimum wage hike that is planned by the government has got some businesses on edge about their upcoming costs. That's right. In Thailand, businesses are preparing for possible surges in operating expenses due to the government's plan to increase the daily minimum wage to 400 baht, or about $11. This proposal has raised concerns among the Federation of Thai Industries, or FTI, particularly affecting small and medium-sized enterprises already struggling with high interest rates and household debt. Despite the tripartite wage committee's decision for a moderate wage adjustment of 2.37% or 2 to 16 baht per day, Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin argued for a more significant increase, especially for workers in the Deep South. The FTI warned that a steep wage hike could severely impact SMEs, potentially leading to closures, and noted that increase would minimally affect Thai economy since migrant workers, the primary beneficiaries, often send half of their earnings back home. Additionally, the FTI is concerned about a potential rise in illegal migrant workers from Myanmar due to the junta government's intensified military conscription efforts, which could lead many to flee Thailand to work. Minimum wage hikes, this is always sort of a pushback from business owners and operators, is that, hey, if you increase the minimum wage, that's going to increase my labor costs. And of course, some businesses might have to shutter as a result of these increased overhead. However, typically when you raise the minimum wage, people at the poorest end of the economic spectrum, when they get more money, that money goes directly back into the economy. They spend it, right? So, for example, if you give Bill Gates a tax cut, what does he do with that extra money? Just goes onto his pile of gold into the bank account and will lower interest rates as there's more available money for banks to loan out. However, if you're trying to boost GDP and get the economy jumped up again, giving money directly to the poorest segment of the economy is going to lead directly to purchases and supporting businesses. So typically, I'm a big fan of hiking the minimum wage because it generally leads to a boost in the overall economy. All right. Anyways, let's. I get boring with the economic news. Sorry, I'm an economics nerd, so bear with me. But let's move on to our next story. So we have some intrigue as a Thai man has confessed to murdering his wife after first reporting her missing. Now, this is a follow-up to a story we covered yesterday. Now, in Chachoengsao, Thailand, a man named Sirachai, 33, confessed to the murder of his wife, Cholada, 27, after initially reporting her missing. The admission came after her burned remains were discovered in a rubber plantation in Prachinaburi province. Sirachai revealed that following a dispute while returning from a birthday party, he killed Cholada with a rock, transported her body in his BMW, and attempted to burn it to hide the evidence. The case, which initially involved community searches and made headlines due to its suspicious nature, took a turn when police, acting on a tip about human remains, interrogated Sirachai. He confessed during questioning at the police station. The identification of Cholada's remains was aided by the discovery of a bracelet she was known to wear, with forensic experts involved to confirm the identity. The investigation is ongoing, with police working to fully understand the timeline and motive behind the brutal act. This was a terrifying story. Yes, her friends had sort of sent up the warning signs because they had not seen her be active on her social media when she typically was. And yes, that led to this man reporting her missing, and of course he knew where she was the entire time, as he has confessed. So hopefully we'll see how this court plays out. We'll see how this case plays out. Excuse me. What the motivation would be behind such a brutal act, and what the punishment will be. That will be meted out for his crimes. All right, on to our next story, also involving crime. So, of course, a very famous police deputy commissioner, Big Jok, is in big trouble as he's facing charges related to his online gambling connections. That's right, so Surachat Big Jok Hakpan, the Deputy Commissioner of the Royal Thai Police, or RTP, is facing charges linked to online gambling operations after financial transactions connected him to four senior officers to the activity. The investigation, led by Cybercrime Investigation Bureau, or CCIB, implicated Big Jok and 8 of his subordinates, all of whom were confirmed to be involved in the gambling ring. Despite Big Jok's insistence on his innocence and claims of internal conflict within the RTP aiming to tarnish tarnish his reputation. Evidence such as bank account statements showing transactions of over 300 million baht tied him and others to the gambling proceeds. The Deputy Commissioner of the Central Investigation Bureau, or CIB, disclosed that the suspects were divided into two groups, with Big Jok belonging to the group of 5 officers with financial ties to the gambling operation. He now faces charges under sections 149 and 157 of the criminal law, with penalties ranging from fines to life imprisonment. The case's progress was publicly updated, emphasizing a commitment to justice without internal conflict or reputation damage motives, though Big Jok's response to these developments remains unreported. Yeah, so Big Jok, big trouble, it looks like. These are all allegations, of course, but online gambling in general, is taken very seriously in Thailand. So those ties and connections, especially a transaction of 300 million baht, seems to show that some profits have been made off of some illicit activities. Now, whether or not he is involved is still up for debate, but this case will be playing out in public, that's for sure. All right, on to some new policies involving the drug trade. So methamphetamine pills are a big problem here in Thailand. However, there's now a new dichotomy trying to separate small-time dealers from small-time addicts. Now let's get into this. Thailand's public health minister, Chonan Srikyao, announced a significant policy to combat methamphetamine distribution by setting a legal threshold for possession. Under this new rule, individuals caught with more than 5 methamphetamine pills will be prosecuted as dealers, while those with fewer pills will be classified as users and directed towards rehabilitation programs instead of facing criminal charges. This initiative is part of the government's broader approach to treat drug addiction as a health issue rather than a criminal one, aiming to dismantle the network of small-time dealers effectively. Now, Chonan asserts that the policy is grounded in medical science and has received approval from many key government bodies. He also emphasized a zero-tolerance policy towards drug dealers while offering drug users a chance for rehabilitation, which in many cases could be a one-time opportunity for change. The policy is designed to disrupt the cycle of drug abuse by addressing the underlying issues and separating users from the drug-selling ecosystem. Yeah, I like any sort of drug policy that leads to more rehabilitative care for drug users. A lot of people, a lot of drug users ended up in jail for the longest time during the war on drugs, which is now, it seems like it's coming to an end globally. Of course, it's still alive and well in many parts of the world, but many of the policies associated with the war on drugs really tend to exacerbate the problem, right? Like someone who's a drug addict, you send them to jail, now you're teaching them how to be a criminal. You're putting them in with other criminals who are in there for probably better reasons than, say, drug addiction. So treating it as a public health issue is going to go a long way, I think, to actually curbing the problem. And of course, separating the dealers from the users is also important as well. Profiting off of people's addiction is a different sort of sin than simply using. All right, on to our next story. So there is a rare opportunity for you to do a very good thing. A couple has issued a 100,000 baht reward for their missing cat. Now, in Chonburi Province, Thailand, an elderly couple has raised their reward to 100,000 baht for any information leading to the return of their missing cat, known as Meow Meow. The 12-year-old neutered male, who has been a beloved member of the family since 2011, went missing in 2022 from their home in Panat Nikom. Despite extensive search efforts, including distributing flyers and a previous reward of 10,000 baht, Meow Meow remains missing 6 months later. The couple's deep emotional attachment to Meow Meow is palpable, with statements highlighting the unique place he holds in their lives and their unwavering hope for his return. The local community and social media platforms have been mobilized to aid in the search, reflecting the significant impact Meow Meow has had on his family. Go find the cat, guys. Like, come on, missing cat. My heart goes out. Pets are family members. At least that's how I was raised. I always had a ton of dogs and cats growing up. My family still does back home in America. We would do anything, right? We would go to any ends. We would go to any lengths, if only just to find some answers. So it's just really devastating to see that this cat has been missing, and it's an elderly couple that is really, really pulling out all the stops to try and find them. So if you have seen that cat in Chonburi Province, please reach out and yeah, maybe collect your reward. All right, now, finally, on to our last story of the day. An interesting one. Meatless meat, or at least ethical meat cultivation is coming to the land of smiles. Now, Aleph Farms, in a strategic alliance with biomanufacturer BBGI and synthetic biology leader Firmbox Bio, is set to establish Thailand's first cultivated meat plant, marking a significant step towards sustainable protein production in Southeast Asia. Leveraging a $118 million funding, Aleph Farms adopts an asset-light manufacturing strategy to enhance production efficiency and promote economic growth, focusing on minimizing costs while maximizing scalability. This collaboration, highlighted by the farm's co-founder, CEO Dieter Tubia, aims to foster sustainable, resilient food systems and equitable growth across the region. The partnership not only focuses on efficient scaling and reducing supply chain risks by outsourcing production to BBGI and Firmbox Bio, but also aligns with Thailand's development goals and government initiatives for sustainable protein sourcing. This initiative is further bolstered by Aleph Farms' regulatory approval for cultivated beef, setting an innovative precedent in the alternative protein sector and responding to the growing demand for sustainable meat alternatives in Thailand. Cool. I still haven't tried any of this stuff, but I remember I did sort of news stories for China about 10 years ago when this stuff was new and on the market, and it cost I think it was $250,000 for just a pound of this meat at the time. Now, the scalability and the costs are going down, so it seems like we're going to be able to produce a lot more of this stuff for a much more, acceptable price. So, cool. I think it's very interesting to be able to produce meat, not meat-like substances like Beyond Meat, but actual meat with less questionable ethics, right? Farming animals is definitely, not very palatable. There's a lot of people who go vegetarian when they see how the sausage is made, so to speak. In this way, without a brain attached to it, there is no animal suffering. So I think it's a good idea, and I'd like to see more of this developed here in Thailand. All right, guys, well, that'll do it for our news stories for the day, this Thursday, February 22nd. We'll be back with you tomorrow with all of our subscribers for our open show on Fridays. You can always check out thethaiger.com to get more updates from around Thailand.